What's up? What's up? We are live back with another week of Nerdology. And this time it's a special episode because I got a special guest with me today. Got my boy Justin from JustinTime Sports. Anytime you guys need anything related to sports, any sports news, this guy is on it. This guy's on it. Like, I'm gonna let him introduce himself. Go ahead, Justin.
It's my guy Chris. We've been friends for what, 13, 14 years now?
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Man, we're old.
Yeah.
But Justin from Justin Time Sports here, at JTime Sports on all your favorite social medias. That includes breaking news, updates, podcasting, so on and so forth. If there's breaking news in the sports world, I am usually tweeting, Instagramming, or Facebooking about it.
Right.
So that's why if you see my glasses, there's like 3 screens in my glasses. That's pretty much why. Yeah.
I've been on your show. I've been on a few of your shows already. Just talking sports, talking ball, talking football, and it's been a blast. So go check out his channel. Like and subscribe his channel. Like and subscribe our channel, of course, CL Smooth Gaming, because we are at 94 subs. So we are 6 subs away from 100. Trying to hit that first 100.
Nice.
So Justin, obviously, I needed your sports expertise because we got some big news in terms of sports gaming. Obviously, College Football 26, this second installment of EA's College Football series is coming. It's coming soon. We got about a month and a half, somewhere around there until the game drops.
About a month. I think it's like July 10th, I think, for early release.
July 10th for early release, July 7th for pre-order. And we have a lot to break down, a lot to discuss. We have the trailer. We have the EA blog that they released. A lot of details about this game. And initial thoughts that I have is EA, the developers for the game, really listened to the community and got the feedback from last game that we had and wanted to implement it into this one. So it's really exciting to see the improvements of the game. It looks better, I think. I actually have the trailer pulled up. We can watch that too. But initial thoughts right off the bat of like when you saw the trailer, what did you think about it?
The first thing I noticed was the lighting. And I know that's been huge for a lot of people that are talking about it in the community. They're talking about how the new system for lighting is in the game. And it's one of those things you don't notice until it's there. And you're like, oh crap, that like didn't happen last year. Or like Auburn with the bus. Clemson with the bus. So Clemson traditionally does a lap around their stadium in their buses, and then they run onto the field down the hill. Well, last year they only had the hill. Right. Different things like the light show is like, I think Bama scores and the light show goes off, which is like one of the modern era now with the light shows. And again, it's one of those things where like you don't notice it's not there until it's not there, or until somebody puts it in. So that was number one. And then the coaches, of course, immediately. I was staring at, real coaches and going, oh crap, like they're in the game this year. So that was amazing as well. That's unrealistic as crap. But that's a whole LSU beef there.
Yeah.
Like Florida. It was Florida who scores, and then like the light show goes off. So again, it's one of those things where it's like you don't notice it until it's in, and you're like, well, that's new.
Right.
Yeah.
It's kind of like
when the game when 25 first came out. Remember the Superdome was super bright?
Yeah.
Remember playing in the Superdome and I felt like you were outside? It was like
a blown out
and fixed.
Right.
Yeah. That ended up being updated and fixed, but it's one of those things where it's like that's kind of weird for the dome has ultra bright lighting like that, etc. So that's one of the first things I noticed.
Yeah, one of the first things I definitely noticed, obviously, was the lights. I think that was a good touch. I thought they did more with upping the pageantry of college football, right? So upping the presentations for each team, making each presentation for each team look unique. That's something that I thought they did a really good job with last year, and it's pretty exciting to see that they built upon that. They expanded upon that. So like, you mentioned Clemson, right? You mentioned a couple of other teams. I know I saw Texas in there with like some of the things that they like to do. I'm not accustomed to every school's tradition, obviously, so I can only really go off of my school, which is LSU. So that makes me think like, okay, so will we see Victory Hill in like if you play as the LSU Tigers. What
I
else?
like the pregame walk.
The
Yeah.
pregame walk and all that kind of stuff. So I saw there was a couple clips in the trailer I liked. Just right off the bat, initial thoughts. Tennessee looked like Tennessee Stadium
amazing.
looked hype. Yeah, it looked really,
Tennessee
really good.
amazing.
I also noticed we had EA put out some stuff on their blog about like the dynamic lighting, dynamic times of day. Like the time of day will change as you go throughout the game. Like you might start off.
The time of year will look different too.
Yeah, all these little details I thought are just adds to the experience of the game. It's something that if you look at it, you may like, oh, is that big of a deal? Yeah, it kind of is when you add all of it together and put into an immersive football game. So I heard some people say that this was going to be like one of the best football games we've gotten in a while, which is a strong take because I actually thought 25 was the best football game we got in like the last 15-ish years.
The best football game we had. Yeah, 25 was amazing.
So we got 2,700 new plays. That's another big feature. A lot of new plays. Last year featured a shit ton of plays.
2,800, huh?
28?
It could be 2,700. But I thought I had their. What it's 2,000? Yeah, 2,800. I'm looking at it now on the website. 2,800. Still
2,800.
2,800. A lot of more plays.
So I got a question. So is that too much, not enough, or perfect?
I think it's actually perfect. And the reason why is the college game is different. So if you added 2,700 plays into Madden, no one's like there's no one in Madden no one in the NFL is running the wing tee. So there's no reason to have 100 veer plays in Madden. No one's running that, right? But like I know, like I'm reading the article now, and they're talking about Rice's modern option. That's different. That's a whole different system. So in order to put that in the game, you're gonna need probably 150 to 200 unique plays just for that system. Army and Navy, well, I don't think Army is anymore, but Navy's still running the triple option. You're gonna need 100 to 150 unique triple option plays just to run the veer correctly. So on and so forth. So I think it's perfect. I think they mentioned something like there's 100 orbit plays. Yeah. There's 150 plays with orbit motion, which is like was all the craze the past couple of years in college football is the orbit motion. So the fact that's in the game is amazing. But you mentioned something earlier I thought was huge. They listen to the community. And we've been having Madden developers tell us they've been listening to us for 10 years now. And all we got was better graphics and a different engine at a certain point. And it's like, that's not listening to us because the same complaints. I couldn't guard a seam route in 15 and I can't guard a seam route in 25. Right. It's been the same problem for years. And EA, you can tell they have a passionate developer team. They have a team that wants to see college football come to life. 2,800 plays is going to be a lot. I wonder how many of those plays are going to be broken plays from the door that, that orbit motion sends your safety to the sideline and now the middle of the field's open, that sort of thing. Yeah. But the fact that they're willing to give us 2,800 plays that are new speaks a lot to how much they care about the game.
Yeah, I mean, it shows that for me, they're putting in the effort of trying to add. Obviously, each playbook needs to have uniqueness to it. Each playbook needs to be custom to that team's scheme. So there's a lot that has to probably go into that. It seems like a little bit much. I thought last year had a perfect amount of plays. It had a decent amount of plays. I mean, it just seems like you're gonna what more can you really add? They did say that they were still gonna keep the trick plays in. They were gonna keep a lot of the gimmick plays in. So I don't know if you're just adding a little bit more to that, if you're adding a little bit more to, if you're just expanding these teams' playbooks, making them more flushed out. So it just seems like a little much to me. It doesn't seem like you need that many plays. Probably be great for all the people who out there who want to make custom playbooks. Looking at the comments. I'm looking at the comments right now. My boy Dylan's watching the show. He goes, jet touch pass and 4 verticals. Don't need 3,000 other plays. Hey man, look, if you play that way, bro, that's how you play. But
I mean, I'm a huge custom playbook guy. That's like the second thing I do every game.
Yeah,
I make a player and then I do custom playbooks. That's like the only thing I do.
I think that would the addition of all these new plays would benefit like Road to Glory more than anything, because I remember me playing Road to Glory in 25. It just kind of seemed like, you know how like the coach calls the plays, right? And so like it just kind of seemed like the coach would just recycle through the same 5 plays over and over again. It
I
kind
would
of
say
just
7 plays if you were lucky.
yeah, so that might benefit that, just having a more variety of plays, but it just seemed like a little bit overkill to me. However, again, it's nothing that like I don't mind. Like if that's something that they feel like would improve the game, I'm all here for it. So um the coaches, that was another, we mentioned that was another interesting
Huge.
That was really big. I was actually surprised that they didn't have coaches last year, but I mean, I get it. It's your first game in a while. I understand it. Maybe not everything was set up, you know. But 300 real life coaches. Obviously, we know that there's not 300 coaches currently. It could like, well, isn't there? How many college? I don't know how many colleges they have in there. Is there
In
more than 300?
D1 on the game, I think it's like one. They only did FBS on the game, so it's like
Right.
112, 115 ish.
I thought so.
Somewhere
Right.
in there.
So that make like, what would you think about that in terms of like you know, maybe past coaches like Nick Saban could be in the game, or maybe assistant coaches?
Well, it's coordinators. So the boost, the difference is the coordinators. So like I know LSU, since you know we're both LSU alum, huge LSU fans. LSU went Brian Kelly, Joe Sloan, and Blake Baker.
Okay.
So I think, but then some schools only did one. Like Oregon State, it's only their head coach. Like there's not either coordinator in the game. I know Oregon did everybody. I mean everybody. I mean like the big three: the OC, DC, and the head coach. Ohio State did it, but then there's schools like Colorado and North Carolina who don't have anybody in. Like Deion didn't put anybody in. Belichick didn't either.
Right.
Which for Belichick is not shocking because he was never in Madden.
Never in Madden.
So that was interesting as well. I think that's going to be interesting in Dynasty. 3 to 4 years into your dynasty, like let's say Dan Lanning gets fired at Oregon, and you can hire Dan Lanning as your DC. Like that'll be interesting. Does like your recruiting base change? How does that affect, you know, what players you can recruit? Would players from Oregon try to transfer to you because now their head coach is with you?
That's interesting. I like that. That's a
or
good.
Like even in Road to Glory, they're supposed to be adding a lot more in the Road to Glory. I'm sure we'll talk about it. But like with the coaches stuff, what if like the OC who recruited you to Ohio State becomes the head coach at Miami of Ohio? Do you get like some random like message like, hey, would you be interested in transferring? Blah, blah, blah. Like there's so many things you can do now with real coaches. You can follow the coaches better. I'm sure the recruiting bases are different. So very interesting coaching move and how many different layers you can do with that.
See that I'm glad you mentioned that, because when I first heard about this, obviously they announced this. We already knew about this, right? Long before the trailer came out, that they were going to be adding real coaches. And in a way, yeah, it's a cool touch, but I didn't know if it was going to be like just purely cosmetic. Is it purely just you're just adding the coaches, or did they have a purpose? Like, did they make Road to Glory and Dynasty Mode more dynamic? You mentioned the transfer portal, all these things kind of like, does that come along with it? So that is something I'm curious to see. We're actually gonna in the later weeks, we're gonna get like deep dives into Dynasty and Road to Glory, and I can't wait for that. They always come up with the deep dives, I think, you know, a couple weeks before the game releases.
Like the last 4 weeks, they do a deep dive a week. So it's like Dynasty's 1 week, Road to Glory's 1 week, Ultimate Team's a week,
right?
That sort of thing.
Which I don't know why they need to deep dive into Ultimate Teams, microtransactions. We get it. But yeah, like, so not just adding coaches, but giving the coaches like a purpose in the game, like having that be some kind of factor in the game. I think that's an interesting take. That something we'll look forward to in the coming weeks as we get closer to the deep dives. Yeah, Road to Glory. That's something I was hoping to get more flushed out. I was very disappointed in Road to Glory last year, because, and granted, I gave it a lot of grace. Like I said, it's the first game. It was, you know, first game after a decade or whatever. So
a decade plus of being away.
Yeah, so I give Road to Glory a lot of grace, but it was still disappointing because it just kind of felt like all you did was really play the games, and then after the games, it was just a series of basically cutscenes. Not even cutscenes, actually. It was more of just a text message. That was all. That's all you had. So I want to see. Obviously, we got high school coming back. That's huge. I don't. That was a fan. That was something that they wanted to give back to the fans. The fans have been begging for high school to come back, go through the whole experience of being a recruit. And it sounds like from what I've read, that they flushed that out dramatically as well. So it's like, not only are you just playing your high school games, but you also got to rack up recruit points. You got to also do your recruit tape.
Yeah.
You could commit and decommit, like, those.
Yeah, it was some stuff. It was some stuff from Road to Glory. I was like, this is dope. I know one thing they were saying, it's like a levels thing. So like, it's not like you play the whole game. You'll have like different challenges. And so if you pick the hardest challenge, you can get recruited faster. But if you miss the challenge, you won't get the points. So even though you may be a good player, you may end up at Kennesaw State or Hawaii because you didn't achieve your goals. But if you had picked easier goals, you might have got that Georgia offer late in the season. But then you couldn't decommit because you wouldn't have time. Like, it'd be one of those things where like you gotta balance it. Am I gonna go for the big offer early and risk not getting any offer, or am I gonna basically pigeonhole myself to, no offense to these schools, but your Louisvilles, your your mid-level FBS schools, your Boise States, to make sure I get an offer. You can apparently throw your commitment hat at your commitment. I've read that, where you can like pick up a hat, fake it, and throw it away. So that's pretty dope. Kind of adding that uniqueness of college signing day, flip this and all the other stuff. So that'd be pretty cool. If you can like flip on signing day, like somebody think they have you and then you flip them, that'd be pretty dope.
Yeah, look, Dylan saying I can't wait for peak high school. Definitely, man, definitely. Talk to me about how do you think this will make Road to Glory like more dynamic in terms of a player? Like, as you playing Road to Glory, how will this make you keep you engaged into the game mode?
Hell, I see cutscenes. And I know as a gamer, we complain about cutscenes. And again, like the lighting thing, you complain about it until it's not there. Yeah. It's like, we complain. I mean, we played 2K for years, and 2K gave us cutscene after cutscene after cutscene after cutscene. And you're like, bruh, it's hard to play it a second time because I have so many cutscenes. Yeah. If you're going to give me, let's say, 4 cutscenes as a high schooler between games and commitment day, perfect. After a big game or before a big game, like a rivalry game or a playoff game, I get a cutscene in college football. Perfect. And then, of course, I get the big dramatic cutscene at the end where I decide to go pro and I'm going into Madden. Or if you're in the Madden, or if you're not in the Madden, you just make another player kind of thing. But being able to look and see a cutscene, and then where I can make that cutscene active. Like, I can throw my hat at commitment day. So automatically I know there's going to be some sort of interaction or player input or something where that could affect my personality trait. I could become disloyal. I could change my player and my player's personality based on what I do in my cutscene in high school. So that automatically made me play it a second time. Now I usually only play one time fully as a quarterback, and then I may do like a few games at receiver or something like that. But that automatically, to me, to get to those points. For instance, like if you had the Heisman Trophy this year, you just kind of like got the message you won the Heisman, and then like that was it. Yeah, I mean, I think for me, I think the what I think about is with Road to Glory, the reason why this game mode has been special for so many years prior to like the series coming back was because it was the closest thing that you could do as like a regular person just playing the game and get to the experience of being a D1 athlete, going through that whole process, the recruitment process. Most of us have no clue what that's like, right? And so, and obviously the game is not going to give you the full experience, but how close can they get? And it kind of seems like EA this year is putting a stronger emphasis on that and trying to give us that student athlete recruitment experience as close to the real thing as they possibly can. Obviously being just a video game. So I mean, it's those little things that make a big difference. I think, cutscenes, because that to me was a big thing that lacked. Obviously, it's just, it didn't feel immersive. It didn't feel, it felt like you remember my career, 2K, my career in the early days, like the early days. where it was a game, then a menu, and then a game, and then a menu.
Yeah, and then maybe you had like a little guy at the bottom, and he would just like
Oh yeah,
narrate
the 2K Insider.
yeah, the 2K Insider. Yeah, that's kind of what it felt like. Just with all the text messaging. That's something that could stay, but it has to be more of a side thing. Like it has to be more of a thing that just fills the gaps, advances your story, right? Your college football story.
I think that was a missed opportunity there. I think they could have done way more with the text messaging. I think you could have built a storyline around it. So like in referencing 2K, because that was like our only career mode we ever had for 10 plus years. Referencing 2K, like the girlfriend situation. Like you could have done more with that with the text messages. And I get it, it was the first game. And I tell everybody that was the smallest game on the market. I mean, I think EA was like 60 something gigs, 70 something gigs. Madden was over 160, and 2K was clear over 200. So doing as much as they did with that little of a game, A, put a lot of light on Madden and their dev team, but B, gave a lot of room for growth. And a lot of the complaints we have is just from a small game.
Right. Let's talk about Dynasty for a sec. Dynasty was another, obviously, outside of maybe you could probably say Dynasty is the most popular game mode in the series. I don't know what actually don't have the stats on that.
Probably Ultimate Team for some weird reason.
Yeah, maybe it might be. Actually, probably it is Ultimate Teams, but whatever. Dynasty is obviously going to be different this year. There's going to be a lot of additions to Dynasty. Obviously, the coaches will play a big factor in that, I think. But another thing I wanted to see in Dynasty was just, I guess, more storylines developing with your team as the season progresses. They had it, obviously. We know about the new commentators that are in the game. The commentators are going to be. This is actually from Chris Fowler. Chris Fowler actually said this, that as the season progresses, the commentators adjust and talk about how your season's going, where your season's headed, if you're doing well, if you're not doing well, stuff like that. But I didn't actually look that much into Dynasty, so I was hoping that you might have had more insight on this. So I was going to get your thoughts on what are some of the things that are coming to Dynasty that stands out to you.
So Dynasty to me is my game mode. So that is what I play. I do Road to Glory. Road to Glory is fun, obviously, but I do Road to Glory almost as like a how do I play this? So I would do a quarterback first, and I throw all my bad interceptions, and I throw all my whatevers, and I fumble everywhere because I want to see how to play the game. But Dynasty is my game mode. That's what I played in Madden. I'm a franchise guy, because it gives to me the most change. That's the one thing that changes. Madden franchise dries out after 2-3 seasons. Especially when team gets so good, you blow everybody out. That's not realistic in the NFL. But college football Dynasty, if you win 4 or 5 championships in a row, that's happened before, kind of thing. So it gives more realism. Wear and tear is being adjusted. They're gonna make the wear and tear matter, and it mattered in 25. Like if you ran your running back 200 times in a season, you were gonna feel it.
Yeah, obviously.
By like game 7 or 8, he's like 3 hits and he's like dog tired and not going anywhere. But they're like, no, it's gonna matter in terms of like if you don't, even if that player's not getting hit, if they're just running all the time, like they're gonna get tired and they're gonna like mess up and so on and so forth. They're changing the physics-based engine on the tackling, so we're gonna get a different tackling system. I thought that's very much needed because you would run into people last year, and if you like didn't hit them square on the chest, you just bounce off automatically.
Right.
Like, it didn't matter what the tackle rating was or anything like that. If you didn't hit them square in the chest, they were gonna bounce off. This is what you're seeing. This is what you're seeing is gonna change everything.
Yeah, I heard a rumor that maybe Madden's boom tech could be coming to the game. That I did hear about that. I don't know how true that is.
I hope they don't.
Not
the college football engine. It's not bad tackling is what makes college football fun. So I'm not asking that every time I touch somebody that they get tackled. That's not what happens in college football. Like I tell people all the time, you have one NFL player versus an accountant. That accountant shouldn't tackle the NFL player. Not a lot. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not expecting, pro level tackling, whatever. The home field advantage this year is going to be insane. That is everybody who has played it has talked about if you have a school with a home field advantage, you have an advantage. It's not like, oh, the buttons go out or whatever. They're like, no, everything down to throwing the ball is going to be worse. Like everything down to the HUD screen is going to change. Like it's gonna struggle to even see your own audibles. Like everything is going to be different with the 2.0. But the biggest thing I was looking at is lighting for one.
Mm-hmm.
They said the bands are going to be huge, commentary, and the way you can play defense is going to be the big thing they mentioned because custom zones are in the game. So you can call a cover three and adjust every single zone. So instead of having to do, okay, this hook curl is, or this hook is going to be 15 all across the board. Like you can do that hook at 15 and this hook at 10. Or you can completely adjust your own zone and stunts with the D line. So instead of just slants, instead of just slants or whatever, like, or trying to create your own stunts by slanting and then adjusting, like, no, you could put a Texas stunt or an exit stunt or whatever in the game. Because they showed it with the Oregon clip where he wraps around the tackle and comes free.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be huge there. There's supposed to be a massive dynasty reform, which I don't know how much they could do upgrade wise in 1 year. But just reading the article real quick, there is location-based visits. I don't even know what that means.
Right.
I don't know if that means like if you get an LA kid, he's more likely to visit, have fun in LA. Like I don't know if they're gonna make pipelines matter more. Cause you know,
Maybe, like I was thinking more about pipelines when I thought about that. When I saw that,
yeah, pipelines matter more. But like, because again, I'm sure we've all done a few dynasties at this point. Like, I'm a Florida guy, but I can recruit California better than USC, and that's like unlikely, right? Like,
right.
So location-based visits, or it may cost you more points on a visit the further you are away. Now that could be interesting. Instead of a visit costing you 40 points of recruiting regardless, if you're clear across the country, it might cost you 100 on 115 or something like that to bring that guy in. And then the dynamic deal breakers will be interesting as well. Again, not really sure what they meant about it. So the Dynasty Deep Dive is going to have to explain a lot of this stuff. And then crossplay for Dynasty is huge.
Huge, yeah.
Being able to, I have a couple of friends who have Xboxes, and we've had separate leagues with 6 people in it, and it's like we could put the leagues together and have 12.
I think they said that you're still going to only have like 32 teams, right? It's only 32.
Still 32. Which, I mean,
that's a good size.
32 is a lot of people.
I heard some people say that they wanted 64. I think that's a little too much. It's a lot of people.
If it was college basketball, all right, cool. I get you 50, 60 because you can all be in the tournament.
Right.
So if it's 64 teams, like all of us can be in the tournament. We have a full instead of the tournament. That's pretty dope. Mm-hmm. But there's only 16 playoff spots now.
Yeah.
So 32 people, some of you might meet in bowl games, so on and so forth. But
yeah,
I think you shouldn't have many more than your playoff spots, in my opinion.
I think you have with 32, you have a healthy blend of like you can mix it amongst all the different conferences. You can have, a couple people in the SEC, a couple people in the ACC, a couple people in the Big Ten. You had so that like you said, the 16 team playoffs. Half of y'all can make the playoffs. Half of y'all might not make the playoffs. So 32 is a perfect balance. Obviously, I think for college, definitely for Madden, obviously for obvious reasons. But I was with Dynasty for me. What I was looking forward to is, and we'll learn more about this with the deep dive, is how are they going to implement just certain challenges throughout a season, like you might face as a coach. I wanted to see stuff like things can happen with your players. Like obviously they said that the transfer portal is going to be revamped. Your players it requires more effort to keep, like to retain players from going to the transfer portal. It'll require more efforts to also draw players out of the transfer portal from other schools. Player storylines.
I heard rumors that players may transfer mid-season now.
Damn, that's crazy.
Because that's what like the dynamic deal breaker is supposed to be. Like if the guy was supposed to have good playing time, if he had an A+ in playing time in his position, but then you're not playing him by like week 3 or 4, he could be like, wait, it's an F for me now. He transfers.
Imagine that. Imagine like your best player or somebody that you spent however long recruiting transfers mid-season.
Yeah, I'm out.
That would suck.
And if it's a deal breaker, you can't get them back because it's a deal breaker.
Right. Is there with the recruitment, like, will recruits be able to like flip?
Yeah, I mean they can flip on you now. It's harder
Oh, okay.
now because at 25 they can flip technically because let's say a guy commits and your thing is I don't know. I'm trying to think of something that could change over a season. Coach stability or something.
Yeah.
If both of your assistants leave, well then his coach stability would go below his requirement and he could flip on signing day. Now I'm thinking it could be something where it could be something minor, like I coach stability. I think it's the only thing that could really change, honestly, through a season, and he flips. Or they may add more stuff. They may add, they said playing time, and all of a sudden you sign 3 in my same position. Well, that's not going to work for me. I flip, sort of thing. So, and they mentioned roster management multiple times. So that's going to be huge. Is managing, like I say, the people you bring in, who you put out. Like I said, now you got to cut down to 85. I think that number's going to go to 105 with the new house ruling. I think they're going to kind of match that with 105. So that's going to be better for roster building. But at the same time, what if I lose, 4 receivers in one offseason? You've seen cluster transfers before. I'm sure they're going to be in the game at some point. And then I only bring back 2. Recruiting freshmen probably is going to matter more. Counting the person this year, I was a 15 freshman, fill the rest in with the portal kind of guy.
Right.
I wonder if that's going to be where you might have to do 20 to 25 freshmen and get fill your portal in because it's going to be harder to get and retain your players.
Yeah, I think that adds to, it's going to be harder in general to just manage a team because there's going to be more moving parts with it. How does NIL fit in all this? Does it even?
It's going to be in the game. I just don't know how. And what I mean by that is they mentioned it in Road to Glory. Road to Glory and Always Legendary is a little different from Dynasty. It always has been. Trying to find that part in the article. They mentioned it specifically in Road to Glory. I don't see it, but they did mention something similar in the Road to Glory thing, where it's like you're gonna be able to earn. Got the word name. That's the reason why I want to read it from the article. But basically, you're gonna be able to get to earn NIL without NIL being in the game. So I wonder, again, with the new house ruling, everybody has a salary cap. So I wonder if you're at a bigger school, how they have recruiting hours where you have, I don't know, let's just say 5,000 influence points, if whatever that's the language used. Will a player in the portal cost 1,500? See what I'm saying? So now you have to, okay, I only got 3,000 left. He costs 1,500. If I go after him, then what am I gonna do with the other 1,500? What if I lose him and I could have got 2 more guys? So, NIL's got to be involved at some point. And I know it's in here, and it's frustrating that I can't find it. But having that ability to utilize NIL or some system of it. They said they're supposed to have it this year in 25. They call it brand exposure, but that only mattered to freshmen because once you were in the portal, they didn't care, which is kind of the opposite of how it works because guys in the portal are transferring for money. So it's weird. Like you can sign Jeremiah Smith and never mention money, never mention the conversation or anything of that matter with NIL. And it's like if Jeremiah Smith is in the portal, he get $7 million a year. So it's like, I think they need to incorporate that a little better, which I know it's here, but it is in the game in some form of variety. They're not going to call it NIL for obvious reasons. But I'm sure that they'll have some sort of system for it in the game.
Yeah. I want to that would be obviously something we would get more into the deep dive, I think. Just how NIL plays a factor. I just think NIL didn't play enough of a factor in Dynasty. It obviously played a factor in Road to Glory in this last game. But in Dynasty, I thought it could be a lot more revamped. So
yeah, I definitely forgot about it, Dynasty.
But and for me, also, like I said, I was talking about like just player storylines and just making the story your players. Obviously, these are simulated people, simulated student athletes. So I want to see stuff like, okay, maybe my star receiver can't suit up because his GPA is too low. Maybe he got into trouble or something. I kind of want to see that. Like it makes the game tougher. It makes the game more interesting, more dynamic, more fluid. All those different things is like, that's something I felt like Dynasty was missing in this last game. It just felt a little stagnant. I'll give you a case in point. This isn't an unprecedented thing. Like in the old NCAA games, if you did a Dynasty, a lot of like your players had storylines. Your players got suspended. Your players, were not eligible to play and stuff like that. Those are things that happen throughout the course of a season. So that's something I want to see get brought back. I think that was probably my biggest thing that I wanted to see get brought back, because it was like, that's what to me makes Dynasty fun. You mentioned cross-platform. That is huge. Yeah, like being able to play with your friends who are not on the same platform is obviously a game changer for a lot of different reasons. And it actually goes back to the presentation, the lighting, the different times of the different times of this year, the season. It's gonna probably suck to play Penn State in December.
Bro.
So the game between obviously Michigan and Ohio State's gonna be crazy, right? So those are the things that
frozen and dark.
Yeah, like those are the things that are they're gonna flush that out, make Dynasty just a complete package, right? And I think Dynasty is gonna get I think Road to Glory is gonna be the biggest benefactor of this game, but first, because I just think it was the weakest point of last game, and then Dynasty is going to be next behind that. So, I mean, outside of those game modes, I feel like everything else will be largely the same. Obviously, better graphics, better presentation, better gameplay. One of the things that was underrated about the gameplay that I read was that DBs are no longer going to just intercept the ball without looking at it. They got to be looking at the ball now.
Yeah, I've read that from multiple people, and I've heard that from Madden devs for years.
Yeah.
But it wasn't as bad in EA last year. Like if you fit a ball in a window, you fit a ball in that window. That DB wasn't going to just pivot and grab it. But I think that also speaks to the level of player too. Like these guys aren't pros.
Right.
So he may have been looking at the ball and just can't get to it. But one thing, I know you mentioned the storyline thing. I think they're going to avoid criminality.
Yeah, of course.
In the sense of, well, even a lot of negative storyline, because these are real players. So
you're right.
It wasn't linebacker number 30. It's Ryan Williams. You see what I'm saying? Like,
you're right. You're right.
Yeah, Archie Manning can't be on the game like drunk driving. Like, they're gonna lose it. People are gonna start losing in lawsuits for defamation, all kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Now, I do think there has to be a way to do it once those players leave.
Okay.
So like NBA 2K has draft storylines. Well, those draft storylines don't coincide with LeBron. You know what I'm saying? Right. LeBron would never go through what the draft pick does. So maybe you could do like the recruiting class has a storyline where like this guy's had 3 DUIs in high school or something, where like it may end up affecting one of his trips when he gets to school.
Yeah.
So on and so forth. So yeah.
I mean, it doesn't even have to be like, for me, it doesn't even have to be like specific. Like obviously it doesn't have to say, oh, this player's suspended for drunk driving. Like I don't think they would ever do something like that. That's just a little too real.
Especially
I think
in Georgia.
Yeah, especially if you're. Oh yeah. But I think it would be more. I think it would be more something like, this player is ineligible for week 13 for conduct. Something very vague like that, or grades.
Or he has a big final coming up and made the decision to sit out of the game or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, that's another thing too, is that even something on a more innocent level of just star players deciding that they don't want to play in the bowl game because they're about to get drafted.
Or player gets sick. I think probably like this player gets sick, has the flu and can't play or something like that. Yeah, I get that.
So obviously these are things that these are things that probably are not going to be in this game, but this is something that maybe they can think about like as the game goes on. I think EA is definitely in a strong place with this franchise already, which is actually I was going to ask you is EA still in this probationary period where, like, you know, last year's game was like the guinea pig. It was the first one. Here we are. We got game number 2, right, in the franchise. Are we still like? Are we willing to say, okay, they're established, they know what they're doing? The first game was a hit. We're full steam ahead with the second game, or is it like, okay, we're still not sure, still young in the franchise?
I'll give them another year. I'm willing to give them another year or two. And I say that because, let's be honest, we've been waiting for this game since we were children.
Mm-hmm.
They could have gave us dog crap on a disc, and we probably would have said it was amazing. Like, because we didn't care, we were just waiting on the game. I remember they showed LSU's roster when the game was first coming out, and like half of them weren't even the real players, and we didn't care. We didn't care at all. We were excited the fact that we could play with LSU again. So I think this year is the first year of real critique. I mean, this is for me personally. It's gonna be the first year where I'm really looking at, okay, no, that's dumb, or y'all could do better with this, or this isn't in the game, or you're, you know what I'm saying, you're acting like the Madden dev team where it's been 2 years of the same problem and the problem still exists. Like, I know for me personally, I have 2 problems with defense. Number one, you can't play zone coverage at the goal line because the receiver and your DB are just going to stand there and they're not going to look at each other. And the DB is going to pretend like that receiver is not right there. Like, there's nobody else there but him. And it's going to be easy touchdown. And then comeback routes are still unguardable. Like, it doesn't matter who runs the comeback. Man zone, doesn't matter. It's unguardable. So those 2 things, like, I personally going to look for next year. If I still can't play zone coverage on the goal line or in the red zone, I'm going to be frustrated. Or if that comeback route, no matter who runs it, whether that guy's going to be a UPS worker after he graduates or a first-round draft pick, I'm going to be frustrated, right?
Yeah.
So I think stuff like that will matter this year. I think last year was the game didn't glitch. You didn't have too many random, like, WTF moments. You didn't have where, like, you would be playing in, like, the same colored uniform as your opponent. Like, you didn't have too much of that weird stuff happening that you see in other games where, like, you know, 2K, for instance, your player would, like, not have shorts on. And it'd be, like, a gap between his knee and his hip. Like, you didn't see, like, I didn't see any of that on my personal experience. So not having some of that weird stuff happening in year 1 was huge. So I think now we get to the critique of, okay, like you said, this could be flushed out better. This could be added. Y'all told us this didn't happen, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think definitely that's a good assessment. I think I would probably agree with you 100% on that one. Is just, this is the game where we can now, the rose-colored lenses are off, right?
Yeah.
And now we're actually looking at the game in its totality. So I think what they've given us this year is just, I think, a bit more balance. Like, last year was very offensive heavy. I think this year's still going to be pretty offensive heavy, but they're going to give defenses a lot more flush, a lot more ability to, you know, obviously with the stunts and the custom zones and all that kind of stuff. So defense actually has a chance now. They improved. I know I read about how they improved coverage. They improved blocking on the offensive line. I know blocking was a major complaint last year. So it just seems like they definitely did their due diligence in balancing both sides of the ball, balancing gameplay. I was actually under the opinion of, like, gameplay last year wasn't that bad. Gameplay last year I thought was really good. I loved how fast it was. I loved how fluid it was. That's why I couldn't go to Madden, because I actually didn't get Madden 25 because I couldn't. I played it with Jai, and I just couldn't do it because he beat the dog shit out of me because it's just so slow. It was like, it felt like my players were running in quicksand in comparison to what college football felt like, you know. So I think I like that.
To answer that, Madden's already saying that they're revamping their speed system and stuff, and, you know, 4-2 is going to feel like 4-2, which, you know, when Madden swings on something,
yeah, it
becomes OP overnight. Like, Tyreek Hill is probably going to be unguardable. And people who are not that good, but they're fast, are going to be just ridiculous. So we know how Madden is. But yeah, no. So I'm with you. Like I said, the rose-colored lenses are off. Like, it's no longer nostalgia. It's no longer me playing it as my 14-year-old self. It's no longer And it's like, no, bro, like you've had a year, you've heard our complaints, heard what we wanted. You're telling us you fixed it. So now let's see just what you fixed.
Yeah, and and you were off to a good start. Like that's the thing. It's better to go into the second game coming off of a major win with the first game. Like the first game was a success. We liked the game. We thought the game was really good for your first installment back, right? After a decade. So you have a great foundation to build on. And so I'm excited to see what they do with college football 26. So I'm pretty sure there's gonna be a lot more we could talk about. We're gonna end it right there though. Is there anything like last thought you want to say real quick?
Nothing, man. Just looking forward to these deep dives. Like I said, the deep dives are going to really tell us because right now we're hypothesizing.
Right.
We're like, oh, we think this could be this, or we think this could be that, based on a few words in this article. But then like I remember last year, I felt a certain way. I thought certain stuff would be there. And then the deep dive was like, oh no, they didn't put that in, but they thought about something I didn't even think about.
Yeah.
Especially in Dynasty. So definitely going Dynasty and Road to Glory be the two biggest deep dives. I hope they don't start with Ultimate Team. Like, don't kill my momentum. Don't ruin it for me where I have to do another week of waiting because you started with Ultimate Team. Don't do that to me.
We know what Ultimate Team is going to be about.
We know what Ultimate Team is. You're going to have cards. You're going to update packs every year. It's going to be microtransaction based.
Yeah.
That's the deep dive. We don't have to do anything more with that. Let's just do Dynasty and Road to Glory. Give me 15-minute videos with Chris Fowler talking about it. And let me just tear apart that video for a week.
Yeah, and show some gameplay. Like, we need to see some actual in-game gameplay,
and not like this cinematic stuff.
Yeah, right.
They give us all the crazy angles.
Real quick before we sign out of it, like the cover. We have the deluxe cover. We have the normal cover. Ryan Williams, Jeremiah Smith. No surprise there. I think those are the two best receivers in football, in college football. Good cover athletes. All right, like I think they represent the brand well this year. The deluxe cover looks phenomenal. Like it looks great. If I didn't have a digital only PlayStation, I would definitely get it. But what do you think about the cover? Minor thing.
I thought the covers were cool. I thought that interesting decision picking players who were gonna come back in 27. So I remember like the old EA covers, the old college football covers were players who just graduated. So like it's like Bush entered the 05 draft and he was the NCAA 05 cover. And then last year it was Genty. Well, the main covers it was not Genty. It was Donovan Edwards, Travis Hunter, and Quinn Ewers. Yeah. Three guys who were expected to leave college football. So I think picking two sophomores was interesting because they have to come back for their junior year. Also, two receivers was interesting as well. I thought maybe Arch Manning might have got a cover. I thought, there's not a lot of major name stars so far this year. It's not like we knew a lot of people last year. I thought Garrett Nussmeier could have an outside chance at it as well. Being the quarterback, I thought two sophomore receivers was interesting, but that's the new wave of popularity is those two. It's Ryan Williams and Jeremiah Smith. And then of course the deluxe cover is insane. Coaches, referees, fans, players. I mean, that's like
Reggie Bush, legends.
Yeah, Reggie Bush is in there. Like
just randomly, he's just chilling.
He's just standing there. Why is Reggie Bush right here?
Nuss is actually in the deluxe. Nuss is on the deluxe cover.
Yeah, Nuss is on the deluxe cover. But like, it's insane seeing like there's a referee in the back. Like, why is the ref there? Like, so that was an insane cover. So I have no complaints. I thought it was odd being the athletes both being sophomore receivers.
Yeah,
if you're gonna do a receiver, maybe a junior or a senior, somebody that's not gonna come back. But hey, I'm not really complaining other than that.
I think it was a special case for them because, see, with Arch never had a full year starting yet. So it's like, okay, well, why is he the cover athlete and he didn't really earn anything yet? Arch would be more suited for 27, being the cover of 27, if after let's say he balls out this year. Jeremiah Smith is the best freshman receiver I've ever seen in my life. And that says a lot given that I watched Julio Jones. So
Julio Jones exists,
Yeah. So, but Jeremiah Smith, he got it, right? He would be the first receiver taken in the NFL draft as a freshman. if he could.
True.
And then Ryan Williams, obviously we know his story. 17 years old, which he can't. That's no longer a thing, obviously. But last year he was 17 years old, taking college football by storm and leading the SEC in receiving yards. So there's a lot, I think, appeal with those two. Maybe I think that's why they probably picked them. I think Jeremiah Smith is more obvious than Ryan Williams.
I mean, the Ryan Williams pick felt like it's gonna sound bad, but it felt like a TikTok pick.
Kinda, yeah.
Like he had the spin move, and that was kind of it.
Like, you mean the one against Georgia?
Against Georgia, yeah, he had the big spin, and it was insane though. He pulled them off piece out early, and the light show was going off, and it was crazy. But that was like week 7,
right?
And then he was a very good, but not really star powery receiver after that. So
yeah, it does feel like a little bit of a TikTok pick, but still, like it I think it still serves the cover. It still serves the cover well. Like I said, they're two good ambassadors for the brand this year, right? I do think they're good ambassadors for the brand. So yeah, man, we got a lot to. There's a lot to cover. There's so much that we didn't even get to, but I'm pretty sure we'll be learning more in the next few weeks. This game is going to be insane. I can't wait for it, and we'll definitely have.
Is back. I said trophy room is back.
Trophy room is back. That's a yes. Oh, I didn't even think about that. Yes, trophy room is back. That is so now you can brag to your friends about all the championships you didn't win. And I like how they actually expanded trophy room to you got road to CFP. Your trophies will be stored there. I think your dynasty trophies will be stored there, and I think your road
it's
to
separate. Yeah, so you can
separate
your own. So you have 4 different stops in your dynasty coach. You have a national championship with Kennesaw State on it, for instance, and then have a natty with Marshall, and then have a natty with Florida State, and it'll all be kind of separated out. So that's pretty dope. Yeah,
trophy room is big. So, well, yeah, we're gonna learn so much more about this game in the coming weeks, and definitely we will have you back on in the future to talk about it. I'm obviously a big sports guy here. So before we sign out, though, tell the people what's coming up on your channel and what they can expect.
So on my channel, the actual new episode of the audio show, I have 2 shows, the YouTube show and the audio show, as I call it. The audio show just dropped on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon, wherever you get podcasts, honestly. The JustinTime Sports podcast, you'll see a black background with a white crown that says JustinTime Sports under it. Make sure you like and subscribe to that. The new show just came out covering the NBA playoffs, WNBA, and etc. I also mentioned college football 26 rather, in that pod as well. And then the YouTube show comes out every week on the IMS production channel. Partner with Jai, who you guys see a lot on this podcast as well. Also with T-Mail, who comes on the YouTube show as well. But yeah, if you love sports, if you want to have breaking news, if you don't feel like following 35 different sports pages, just follow at JTime Sports, and you'll cover all your information at one time.
Definitely. I get a lot of my sports news from you. I believe it or not, you were the one who broke the news that Derek Carr retired for me. I didn't see it from no one else first. Yeah, I saw it from you first. And at first I thought you were messing with me. But then I was like, wait a minute, he wouldn't just post just anything. So as soon as I saw it from you, I went to Google and I was like, the Lord answered my prayers.
You and a lot of Saints fans as well. I think I posted it not in church. I was somewhere. I think I was in church though. I'm pretty sure
that'd be crazy. That's crazy if you were in church.
It was like a Saturday morning, right?
Yeah, it was like Saturday morning he retired. Yeah,
I was in church. I actually posted it and showed it to my wife, who's a big Saints fan, and she went ballistic. She was trying to quietly celebrate in church. Yeah, I was in church.
That's a great story, dude. So yeah, look, everybody follow, subscribe to JustinTime Sports. Like I said, follow, subscribe to CL Smooth Gaming, IMS Productions, the whole shebang. We are 6 subs away from our first 100, so help us reach that goal. But yeah, this has been a great episode of Nerdology. We will be back again next Friday. We'll be talking about a whole range of things, including we got to go back to the Superman movie again. So in the meantime, though, we'll be signing out. JustinTime Sports.
All right, man. Breeze.